Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I want to thank you for tuning in to Up Close and Personal with Angela. I am your host, Angela Thomas Smith, and I am coming to you today on behalf of Aspiring Authors Magazine. And I have author Blaque Diamond with us today. For those that do not know who I am the founder of AALAC, which is the African American Author Literacy Awareness Campaign, bringing awareness to African American authors and literacy within the African American community. I'm also the founder of Aspiring Authors Magazine. If you haven't checked us out, please go over on Facebook and check us out or visit our website at www.theaspiringauthors.magazine. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. We have an amazing guest going to be sharing her journey on becoming an author and walking in her truth. She's one of the 30 ladies that is a part of Only of Truth anthology that's scheduled to come out later on this year. So I want to introduce you to author Blaque Diamond. How you doing
Hi,
today?
I'm fine. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So I just want you to share with the listeners and the viewers today just a little bit about who you are. Who is author Blaque Diamond?
Oh, wow. Thank you. I am author Blaque Diamond. I'm originally from New York City. I currently live in the state of Maryland, and I've been an author, gosh, since maybe 2010 officially when I had my first book published. I am also a social worker here in the state of Maryland. I am a certified parent coach, and I'm the mother of 12.
Wow. So I know people always ask, a mother of 12, did you give birth to all 12?
No, I did not. I feel as though that I did. I am the biological mother to three, but I've raised 12 children. My youngest is 8, and the oldest is 44. So I have been doing this for over 35 years, being a parent for over 35 years. As a matter of fact, I didn't realize I was a parent until I moved to Maryland. That's when I realized that I was a teen parent at the time. And it's been some journey, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. I had to do it over again. I might do it a little bit different because I know a little bit more now, but I wouldn't do it over.
Mhm. Wow. Wow. So how did you become the mother of 12?
Oh,
I know
wow.
that's usually the next question.
Yeah, it usually is. It's amazing. Sometimes it seems like it's just different answers that I have to give, but it started out when my niece just walked through my door, and it was something that I felt that I needed to do when I had taken custody of her. I was a teenager at the time, and I wanted her not to go into care and not to go into the system. And at the time, my sister wasn't in a good place, so I stepped in to help along with the assistance of my mom. And it was time to register in school, and my sister at the time wasn't around, and I just had to do what I had to do. So I went to court to get custody of her, and I lied about my age and said I was older than what I was, and they granted me custody. I learned a lot about the system. I read a lot to do what I needed to do to get her to make sure that I had the right answers, and it worked. It did. I know I perjured myself, but to me that was a good reason. It was one of the best reasons in the world to perjure myself, to lie to a judge, to say that I was older than what I was. But I just couldn't see her going into care. I couldn't see somebody else raising her. She had family that can take care of her, and I felt as though that I could. So I wind up raising my niece, and then I had two nephews who came into my life, and I raised them. At the time, I didn't have any children. To tell you the truth, I didn't want any children. My goal was to graduate from high school and to go to Howard University to become an international judge. But he had another plan for me, and this is where I'm at. I met and married my husband, and I had my three children. So they kept coming in threes. The first three, my niece and my two nephews, and then I gave birth to my three children and raised them. And then three more nieces and nephews came into my life, and I started raising them. And then I turned around and I got their siblings. So I have five of those siblings, and that made my total of 12. So I just continued to raise them. But the story behind getting them was it's just unbelievable. It's in one of my books, the Stacey F series of children's books that I've written about on foster care and adoption.
Hmm.
It teaches you about the journey of a child in foster care, but it came about with Stacy's brother asking why was he in care, and I thought it was a little odd that a child his age didn't know why he was in care. Nobody ever told him. So I sat down and I told him his truth, as far as what I knew to be his truth. And I asked him, was he okay? And he said he was okay. But after that conversation, I wasn't even okay. So how he did it, I don't know. But I looked over his shoulder and I saw Stacy sitting there. I said, oh my God, this little girl's going to ask me the same question someday. And I hope I can have it together. So I started writing it down, her truth and what I could try to tell her and what I can remember. But then when I started looking at it, I said, she's not going to understand this. I barely understand it. And at the time, I was a social worker. So I
Yes.
write it in a way where she can understand. But then you have foster parents who become foster parents, and I appreciate them for doing that. But some of them don't understand the journey. They haven't walked in the shoes of the child. So I said, let me write it in a way where they can understand it. So I made it comical enough for Stacy to understand it and other children like Stacy, along with adults who can understand it. So we wind up with the series of Stacy F. children's books on foster care and adoption. So it just became that, them knowing their own truth. It's generic enough for anyone to read, because every child that comes into care comes in with their own story. So reading the books, the
Yes.
foster parents that's with them can help them unpack their own story. So that's how that came about, and that's how my journey started. But there's little things that go in between the things that happened as I was seeking custody and foster care and or adoption of them. And it's just been some journey. I'm just so proud of them, of how they survived it, the things we had to go through, and the things that came about it. So I'm really happy that this is the decision that I made.
Wow. Because it's definitely allowed you to be able to share your life through books. And I think that's how we come in contact with each other in maybe 2017, because I think we've been in contact with each other since 2017. I think I interviewed you once before.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I see that you have been really, really busy. You do a lot of work in your community. I see. I want you to share with the viewers and the listeners about the trash bag thing that you do,
Oh wow, the trash
because
bag
that's one
challenge.
of the things that I remember. That's one of the things that I remember you by. Um, and I think it was something. I think you were going to an event and you made a trash bag into a purse, and it was gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, the trash bag challenge came about because I work, like I said, in the state of Maryland, and we have children who they go from home to home, and they can only take what they can possibly take, and some of them are removed from their homes, and it's unfortunate. So I saw a young person while I was out in the community, and they were really being hassled about the bag that they had with them, and I said, this person has no idea what this young person is going through. So I sat back and I thought about it. I said, what if I had to just carry what I could possibly carry? And that was my life. So I started off with a small office trash can, and I took the bag and I put what I had in my pocketbook and I dumped it in there. And I carried that around for a week, and I left my wallet, my pocketbook, and everything at home. And it was a little uncomfortable, but I said, I can manage. It's a small bag. So I said, well, this wasn't so bad, but I said, they have a lot more than what I have in this bag. So I added and I made it a big
Mm-hmm.
bag. And the following week, I put more things in it. My lunch, I carried it with me. My keys, everything that I had, an extra sweater was in the bag. And I carried that with me for the following week. And I did it again the following week, and I got another bag. And I was dragging it everywhere I needed to go until I got one of those big construction bags. I had a change of clothes in there. I had books in there. I had everything you can think of, my pajamas in there, anything that I thought that would get me through. And I carried it. I had to go out in the field one day, and I carried the bag with me, and I had to go into court. And the gentleman that was there had told me that I needed to check my bag. And I asked him, well, why do I need to check it? He says, because you have to check bags. I said, well, this is my personal bag. I said, you let her go through, and that was her personal bag, and you didn't say anything about it. And now you're checking my bag, and these are my personal things as well. And it became back and forth, and I didn't want it to be a bigger issue than what it could have been. So I went through and I let him check my bag. And when I came back, I let him know what I was doing. And he just apologized to me. I said, this is one of the things that I'm talking about in the community, that we're not aware of other people and what's going on. These children carry their personal belongings in these bags every day. And those bags mean the world to them. You just invaded my privacy and went through my personal bag. And I understand the need to do that when you're in court. But I explained to you that this was my personal bag. I didn't look any different than the person that was with me, which was my colleague at the time. And she knew what was going on. So we said we was going to try it, and we did. And this is what the result is. So we continued to do that for that month, and we raised a lot of money, and we raised enough to get duffel bags, and we put personal items in those duffel bags: toothbrushes, toothpaste, combs, brushes, socks, everything you can think of, deodorant, lotion, everything in a bag that they can have. We did coloring books. We gave them some crayons. We just loaded those bags up, and we
Yes.
found a company here in the state of Maryland, and we just did Black Friday's doorbuster, and we knocked on their door and we busted in and we gave them the bags, and we told them that this was for the kids that lived in the home, and it was an agency that we provided that with, and I just felt so good, and I took my grandchildren with me so they can understand what it was about, for them to be honored and blessed with what they have. So we're going to be doing it again next year. I couldn't do it the past 2 years because I had surgery and it just put a damper on everything. But we're going to be going back at it, and we're going to be doing the trash bag challenge again. And we want to up the ante. We're hoping that we can get bicycles someday for these children. And we're going to be just door busting people. We're going to be going to different agencies. We did pick out one that we were interested in, so we're going to be looking carefully at that agency and making sure everything is okay with that agency, and that the things that we get for them will actually go to these children. So look out. We're going to be coming to somebody's door and doing a doorbuster for Thanksgiving.
Amen. Amen. I applaud you for all that you're doing. That's amazing
Thank you.
thing. So please keep me connected with that so I can participate in that when you do that.
Thank you.
And you're definitely owning your truth. I tell you. I thank you for being a part of the anthology and sharing your truth.
I thank
So
you so much
if
for
the
having me.
listeners would like to I want you to share just a little bit about your books. I know you touched on it a little bit, but I want people that may be thinking about fostering a kid or are fostering kids to get your book because I think it's a great resource. So if you would just share just a little bit about the book and then share how they can get in contact with you, how they can purchase that book.
Right. The first book in the series is She Named Me Stacy, and that's because that's the name that her mother gave her. So I didn't want to take that from her or to change it, just to let her know that this is something that your mother has given you, and for some reason she's giving you that name. So we named that first book, She Named Me Stacy, because it's one of the hardest things that a parent could do is to give up their child or to have their child taken from them. And we talk about the different things that happen when a decision has to be made. So we took them on that first journey. The second is a temporary home for Stacy, and that's because children that go into foster care is supposed to be temporary. A lot of children stay in foster
Mhm.
care from the time they are removed from their parents' home, way until they're just about to age out, if some don't age out. So we call that one a temporary home for Stacy. The third book was called Stacy F My Forever Mommy, because Stacy does find a forever mommy, and it takes you through the journey of the court system and the process that you have to go to. We don't hit on everything, but we give you an idea about that. The fourth book was called Stacy F's Coloring and Activity Book. We know that when children come into your home, that they're afraid, they don't want to eat, they cry a lot, they're scared, they don't want to do anything with you, especially those who are removed and they're taken down to the office and they're sitting there until their placement comes about. So we figured that the coloring book would be a tool for them to use to get the child comfortable enough to be able to at least talk to you. And if they're in your home, to get them to eat so they can look at Stacy's journey, and the person, if they have the other books in the home, they can talk to them and let them know that Stacy is a real little girl. And this is one of the journeys that Stacy was on. Hopefully that their ending will be the same. They either can go back home or they can find an adoptive parent or parents that will be able to love them as much as we love Stacy.
Amen. Amen. And you said that is a 4 book series.
Yes, the Stacey F book is a 4-book series. You can purchase that book off of staceyf.com. So you'll see the books. You'll see Stacy also have backpacks. She has lockets as well, and the lockets are for some children don't go back home, and some children do have pictures, or maybe the agency can get a picture of the biological parent, and they can put it in the locket, so the child will still have something of the parent. So she has those as well.
I tell you, it's amazing the work that you're doing. I am super, super proud of you, and super glad to be connected with you because it takes an amazing person to be able to do what you're doing. And I applaud you for what you're doing. Do you have any special projects that you're working on outside of the anthology that we are a part of?
Yes, I am working on another book. It's called 1380 Prospect Avenue. And this one is very, very dear to me. It goes back to my family as far as where they came from. They were my siblings and older cousins were living in the Bronx, New York, and they used to sit and talk about their time when they were growing up and all the fun things they did when children were children, and when you actually had fun running the streets. I wasn't born at that time, but there's part to me that wishes I was, because I just marvel at the things that they did and the stories that they tell. So I took that story and I took what I do for a living and I turned it into my own. So I changed it up quite a bit. Some of the places they may recognize, but I have some surprises in there for several people. But with me being in foster care and adoption, that it does story tell a lot about foster care and adoption, but it is not a children's book. It is totally different. I'm very proud of it, and I just can't wait for it to be released. It should be coming out this summer, maybe late summer, early fall, and it's a wonderful book. I also work on Grandparent Cafe. I work with grandparents who are raising their grandchildren, and these grandparents, it's like a second chance for them. Some of them are my age, some older, and they're starting all over with raising their grandchildren. Some have been in the system themselves or had their children placed in the system, and now they feel as though they can now have that second chance to take care of their grandchildren. And because most states, if not all, do not have rights for grandparents, I work with them to show them how to go about getting it right, because I was one that had to do that. And I lost my first case, but I learned through that, and I was able to win the second case, so I was able to obtain custody of my grandchild. So I want to work with them. Some of them are not able to get certain benefits. So we provide them with services. We help them with doing applications for housing. If they have problems with education, we talk to them about that, of how they can get their high school diploma, or how they can go back to college, and what resources we have. We do sessions on finances. We do sessions as well on life insurance and HIV and AIDS. We just sit and we talk to them. We don't talk to them about what their history was. They want to share, that's fine, but we don't come down on anybody. We just want to make sure that these babies are going back to their families. So we try to
Yeah.
restore their genetic lineage.
Well, I tell you, you are definitely doing some amazing work. I am super proud of you. I see some of the people that are watching. One of my sisters, she said she want to interview you for her show. So
Okay,
you
that's
are definitely
fine.
doing some amazing work. I am definitely super proud of you. I thank you for all that you're doing. Um, I want you to share with the listeners, because you are one of the 30 women that are participating in the anthology I Am Owning My Truth. Um, why did you decide to participate in that particular anthology?
It took me a while to decide, honestly, on whether I wanted to do it and what I had to share. It's something that had occurred maybe over 30 years ago. I keep going back into the past. And they always say that your past will catch up to you, but it's not that it caught up to me. It's that I think that I'm ready now. And there's so many other people that may have experienced what I experienced at that time. And I feel as though that this is the time that he chose me to speak. At that time, I said I would never say a word. I would never tell anybody. I would keep it to myself. It's not that I was ashamed of anything. It's just that there was a darkness that I went through, and I honestly thought that I was alone with it. And you gave me the opportunity to share it, and I said, "This is the time." He's telling me that this is the time right now. to share this and to let other people know that they're not alone. And this is my truth. And if I can walk it and I know that I'm not walking alone, then I'm going to be okay. And so will they. So I appreciate you. And I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your platform.
Amen. And that was one of the reasons, the main reason why I wanted to do the anthology, because I wanted other people to see not just my story. I wanted them to see the other 29 individual story, because my story is not your story and it's not the next person's story, but my story, your story may relate to somebody that picked that book up, and it may touch somebody's life. It may change somebody's life. And I tell people all the time, it's very important. If you've been through something, if you have a test, a trial, or a tribulation, that you need to share with somebody, because if you overcame it, somebody else may be going through the same thing and need to know that they can overcome it too. So I thank you.
Exactly.
I applaud you. My hat's off to you for taking this step, and I look forward um, to hearing your story and hearing your truth. So I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you. Is there anything that you would like to leave with the listeners before we leave?
Um,
Anything you want them to know? Anything is inspirational? Anything that you would like them to remember?
just to let them know that they're loved. He loves us in our own his own special way. I tell people that my father spoils me, and he hasn't forgotten about me, even when I think that he has. But he has other children to take care of as well, and I know that I have a place in his heart. I know that wherever he steers me, that he will not lead me down the wrong way. That sometimes I do have to wait. It's not about the riches that other people have; it's the riches that he's instilled in me, and I am just so happy to be one of his children, and I thank him for that.
Amen. Amen. Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being a part of the anthology. And I tell anyone, if there's anything that I can do as part of AALAC or Aspiring Authors Magazine to assist you on your journey as an author, please feel free to reach out to me. Um, and I look forward to continue working with you. It has truly been an honor and a blessing having you in my life. We
Thank
may
you,
not
and
talk
thank you
all
to
the time,
you.
but when we do talk, it's pleasurable, and I thank you. I thank you for all that you're doing, and
I thank
just keep
you.
up the good work.
Yeah, well, and you
And
also have
anytime
me.
you want to come back, just let me know.
You have me highlighted in your magazine coming up, so I'm really happy with that too. So
Yes,
I
you
appreciate that.
are.
You're doing wonderful things. You opened up the door for so many people to be able to get this done. If this hadn't have come across my Facebook page and I haven't spoken to you about it, I don't think that I would have ever said anything. I would have probably kept it quiet. So I appreciate that, and I just can't wait to get it started and see what everybody else is saying, and just to see so many other sisters and maybe some brothers that are going on a journey and are able to speak now. So we thank you. I will speak on the behalf of everyone by saying thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. You have been listening to author Blaque Diamond. She is an amazing author, so you need to go and check her out. Share your website real quick so they can get your website.
The first website is stacyf.com, and then I have another website with other books on there, more of adult but not erotic, but adult books. That one is under author Blaque Diamond. Author Black is spelled Blaque Diamond. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, and I'm just starting on Instagram, so I'm a little rusty with that one. And you can find me on LinkedIn also.
Amen, amen. Thank you again for coming on today. I look forward to seeing your work, and you have a great day.
Thank you.
And
You
thank you
too.
guys for tuning in.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye. No, it's slow.